first, I was just reading these hockey cards. I'll mention them in study when I bring up study 2. So, and then, yeah, I guess, let's get okay. Yeah, skip that. Okay, so my topic was concussions in ice hockey and their consequences in the NHL. Oh, my name's Sam, by the way. I didn't mention that. So why did I choose this topic? Well, I don't know if you noticed, I usually wear hockey jerseys, and I like hockey. And another thing is concussions. It's really not that well, like, the awareness is not as huge as in other sports, but it's still as bad, right? And it means a lot to me because, like, I play a lot of ice hockey, so you might know, especially living in Canada, you might know, you might have a friend, or your kid, if you become a parent, might become like wanting to play hockey, right? So it does, it's a huge topic, and the best way to solve it is actually education. So let's get going. So I'll first start off with what is a concussion. So basically it's a traumatic brain injury that is caused by a bump or a jolt to the brain, which causes the brain to move within the skull. And keep in mind, I actually interviewed some players that, like one guy, he was an enforcer for Paul Coffey, who is to the Hall of Fame, and basically he told me back in the days, they thought it was just a headache. They didn't know it was really a concussion, but these are the symptoms. The cognitive side is that you have a hard time concentrating, you can't remember stuff. Your physical side is that you get headaches, blurry vision, you vomit, sometimes you also lose balance problems. Emotional, which is really big. And if one thing you want to get from me, watch the movie Concussion by Will Smith. And I know it talks about football, but it's very related. And you get anxiety and you get really emotional. Sometimes you can get really angry, you cry, all sorts stuff of things. And then sleep is that you change sleep patterns. And keep in mind the symptoms, it doesn't have to happen right away. It can happen after hours or days. And it can be either short-term or tragically long-term. And there's been some cases like Wade Belak, who was a Leaf, and he committed suicide and all that stuff. So more on diagnosing it is really hard. It's actually difficult. And what doctors, the best way that we have are MRIs and CT scans, which helps internal bleeding. And as you can see the picture here, and and keep in mind, especially for hockey players, because they're very competitive, if they already had a concussion, they're more likely to get another one. So it's not like a muscle, like your arm, where you train it gets stronger. It actually gets more vulnerable and weaker. You get more impact to it. Now, how does it relate to the NHL? So from my study, and what I got is that body checking is a leading cause of traumatic brain injury in ice hockey. And what I have, the evidence that from 1993 to 2003, there has been at least 8 players that have had a concussion symptom that caused them to retire. And the true cost of NHL of concussion is $48.2 million. Now take a look at that. That's a lot, right? And the salary cap's already $45 million, so that's basically like a team. And we all know this guy, do we? Or yeah, right. So there's and the thing is, the league only cares mostly when a big player, like before him it was Eric Lindros, only when big players get concussions, like Lonnie too, who had one a couple weeks ago. Underlining research questions. So now it brings me, how can we reduce this in elite ice hockey leagues? Because even in for minor, like the elite ones, the kids that know, or like have the best chance of making the NHL, that competitive drive is still there, and you'll be surprised. So my first study, okay, so I have it's about implementing Rule 48, which is illegal hits to the head. So I have it bookmarked and highlighted. You guys can take a good skim through it. But basically it's just illegal hits and the penalties. So what my study was from 2009 to 12, the 3 years. What they did was they basically they took a bunch of players in the NHL and the OHL, specifically 2000, and they just recorded their penalty calls they got, the player statistics. Basically, they started caring for concussions. That's what those studies saying. And as you can see from my next chart, just take a focus on, look at this. The NHL point from 2009 to 2012, the concussion rate has increased. So they're starting to, like, as soon as they see a bad illegal hit or they think it's illegal, they'll call a whistle. And it's way more from like today's game. There's always a whistle called for something. And what I got was the biggest, obviously there are other factors causing concussions, but the biggest ones are body checking with the head, or just body check in general. So now moving on to my, so this is where the hockey cards come in place. So the study 2, the impact of face shield used on concussions ice hockey. So as you can see, some of you players might have like maybe an NHL card of like just a guy wearing visors, which is like face shield, and some of you might have a player wearing a cage. So those are the difference in helmets. And what my study found is in the Canadian Inter-University, about 640, they tested 642 males and 22 teams, and what they found was that players that had a cage and a mouth guard, some of your cards might not have the mouth guard on, but they were the most protected out of the 3. Then it was the players with the cage but no mouth guard. They still got injured, but they could only miss, like, they only had a few days off. And then the players with the visors that you see in the NHL, and even the OHL, 15-year-olds sometimes can wear it too, they get they're most prone to injuries and they need the most time to rest. And then, okay, so this is where you guys come and play. And this is where, the reason why I'm educating you guys, because this is the culture. And basically it's aggression, violence, and injury, and it's something we can stop. In minor league hockey, specifically, there was a study on the aggressive behavior between 61 minor league players. And keep in mind, these kids have a dream of making the NHL. So they're already ingrained in their head because of Don Cherry and all these other influence factors. And they think that some parents, it's really nasty, but if you go to games, there's always that one dad that's very strict on his kid because he didn't make the NHL or something and he wants his kid to make it. So he abuses him at home. You can even see him yelling. And this needs to stop because it leads to when they make the NHL, when you see those hits and you're on your couch drinking a Coke or whatever and eating your chips, it's because of that, right? And obviously it amuses us, but at the same time, it's hurting them. So, which brings to my conclusion that body checking is a leading cause of traumatic brain injury, and we need to take preventive measures in order to reduce the overall risk. So now brings me to my discussion question about that couch, sitting on the couch and watching TV. Do you think, should body checking be eliminated from professional ice hockey? Any questions? Any answers on that? What's your opinion?
I don't know much about hockey, but I think it's kind of like you always have to fight that battle because I think it's a culture within hockey, if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely.
That like you're not almost like you're not man enough if you don't like get involved in that fight, or because that's been a part of hockey for so long.
Yeah.
So in order to implement this, you're gonna have to face like a lot of backlash in terms of what the culture's been for so long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Me personally, I'm not a hockey person. However, you just watching hockey, especially watching live opposed on TV, body checking kind of gives it a little bit more of excitement, right?
Oh,
And it's just happened over time. So I think to take it away, obviously for the protection of the players, yeah, well, for sure, it makes sense. However, like you would say, it's like fighting an uphill battle because it's already been ingrained in us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard to kind of take that away and eliminate it completely.
And keep in mind, this is, like you said, it's the objective of hockey, which people forget, is to score the puck, put the puck in the net, right? But like I feel like when I even mentioned, like I actually went to OHL players that work in the rink, and I actually got to talk to them, and some players that are in the league, and what they give me, it's like, it's second nature to get concussions. It's just second nature to them, right? And I'm just shocked with that answer, because like, they don't know like how tragic it's going to be. Let's say, and keep in mind, as another study, only 1% of players in each city make it to the NHL. The rest 99, it could be your kid, it could be you, anyone else that plays, even women that don't make it, are gonna prone to get the symptoms, right? So is it really worth like that, or like it could affect your other jobs, right? Which brings my friend who played and he had concussion-like symptoms. He's doing all right, and he wanted me to share this question to you guys. Do you feel like the equipment hockey players use are hurting the players or protecting them? So what do you think? Do you think like the elbow pads and how players use it, do you think that's hurting or protecting? You in the far back?
I know, at least from a health and safety perspective, it's protecting them, but players are always opposed to more gear, more protection, because they say it hurts their game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think?
What I think? Or?
Yeah.
I think it depends on how the player uses equipment, right? Like for example, do you guys know Sean Avery or Matt Cook? Okay, these players they use their blades. Like Matt, he basically uses his skate as a knife, and he if you looked at Eric, like those players are it's easy to recognize, and he uses it and he this trash